If you are finding yourself in a place where you are stuck, perhaps a job that you don't enjoy being in, or a relationship, or maybe even a phase in your life or a place in your life, this is a really great time to make some changes and align with who you are and what you feel drawn towards, what you feel inspired to do. I know it's easier said than done, and the reason why I'm recording this video is because I've been there, and it's taken me a long time to find myself and to move myself out of a place where I was grossly unhappy. I was in a career that I was not aligned with. I was in relationships that I was not aligned with, but I was also misaligned within myself. The whole time that we're dealing with right now is a period to understand ourselves more and to align with ourselves more. And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out who we are and what feels right for us. However, I can't stress this enough, how important it is to make a leap out of a place where you're not happy. It is so crucial. Sometimes it takes time. I'm not saying to jump into the unknown if you don't feel ready and you don't feel safe, but it is so important to make constructive changes so that you can move your way out of where you are towards something that is in a more greater alignment within yourself. But first, most importantly, spend some time to find that alignment within yourself before making a move, if you want, before taking that risk or making a decision to change something in your life. I highly recommend to spend a bit of time to understand yourself more. What needs to change? What needs to be released within yourself? Maybe fear or limitations or restrictions or even felt responsibilities, maybe even financial concerns. Sometimes we may not leave a career because we're afraid of money. And as I mentioned, we may not need to make a drastic change or take a drastic leap into a new direction altogether if we don't have the financial security. But I feel once we start to align more with ourselves, then our path is going to adjust accordingly. I also know from experience that when we are not in fear, we then open up for greater life experiences. We can find solutions easier. Solutions will come to us. Ideas will come to us. We will create a very strong connection with our genius. We will see new paths that we haven't seen before, new ways of creating or opportunities or areas that we may find interesting to focus on for maybe our career or just life enjoyment. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I feel that if we're in a place of misalignment, we become very fragmented within ourselves. Can you imagine two options, for example? Option A, we decide to stay where we are without making the changes, or B, starting to make the changes to move us out of where we are not in alignment. Now, they are totally two different paths, but we have that choice. I also want to preface that there is really no right or wrong way to do this, although it is important to honor yourself and to make the changes that are in alignment with your highest good, with what you feel in alignment with, what you are drawn towards, or what you are passionate about. Sometimes we also have to be in these places of discomfort and misalignment to realize what isn't working, and that's okay. Like I said, I've been there. I've been there for many, many, many years, and it has been quite a journey, a process to move myself out of where I was and into a greater alignment within myself. But I have to emphasize that this is an inside job. If we are chasing a job or chasing a relationship or chasing something in our future that we want without being in alignment within ourselves, we're just going to recreate something similar than possibly where we were. True happiness, balance, peace, harmony doesn't come from outside situations, although some outside circumstances can help, but mostly it is an inside job. Oftentimes as well, I've been through this myself. Having a new job, a new career, and maybe a new relationship will be exciting at the beginning, but then it will soon fizzle out into the same mundane misalignment as we experienced in the past. If we are feeling aligned within ourselves, then, as I mentioned, we will start to align with our purpose, with what we feel drawn towards, what lights us up, and what can be sustained. So I can't stress this enough. If you are feeling out of alignment, if it is career or relationship or within self, take some time to connect within and find out where maybe there are extra responsibilities. Sometimes we place the responsibilities and the duties on ourselves to remain in certain places because we feel obliged, we feel obligated, we feel that we have to remain there for some external reasons. But it may not be necessarily in alignment with how we feel about ourselves. Being out of alignment with our true self, what is important for us, will cause so many repercussions in our lives. This is, I feel, one of the source issues in society today. I feel many people are not honoring themselves enough, how they feel, what they want, and connecting with that feeling and connecting with that knowing. Most times we have to take a pause. Most times we have to take a pause and get a sense of, what do I want? Who am I? Void of the impositions of society or relationship or family or maybe even finances. If that was all taken away, who are you and what is important for you? And then without worrying about those things, what do you want to do and where do you want to go? You can tell that we put so much pressure on ourselves with finances, with relationship, with fear, worried about the worst case outcome, for example. But that prevents us from change. That prevents us from moving forward. That prevents us from taking that leap of faith and trying something new. If we believe in ourselves, we can do it. If we are aligned with ourselves, we will create incredible change in our life. So if this is resonating with you, and if this is where you are at in your life, take some time to align. Take some time to connect with who you are. What are you called towards? What are you dreaming? What are you desiring? And if you don't know the answer, that is okay. But give yourself some time to contemplate and reflect on these aspects within yourself. And also on the shadow aspect, contemplate and reflect on the fear, on maybe the insecurity, on the worry. Is there financial concern? Is there worry about the future? Is there worry about failing? Is there worry about not being able to make it? Is there worry about separating from someone? Is there worry about hurting someone? Is there worry about what your parents or friends might say? That is going to give you the biggest indicator of what needs to be looked at within the unconscious self. When you look at those fears, those stories, those false limiting beliefs, those restrictions, whatever's holding you back, that is where your answers are going to lie. That is where you can find incredible change to align you more with who you are, with confidence and with ease. And also too, I have to mention, be gentle with yourself. We put extra pressure on ourselves when we feel that we aren't where we need to be or where we should be, which you can imagine is very hard on us. We're already in places where we can be very discouraged and very afraid or very misaligned. That alone creates a lot of tension and pressure on the body, on the psyche. So try to find that place of compassion and ease and gentleness, and knowing that this is not a race. We have a lot of time to work with here, and try to take the pressure off. Also, I find that when there's pressure off of ourselves, off of the mind, then we also open up for greater opportunities. We open up for the synchronicities. We open up for the big aha moments, the big ideas. We also open up for guidance that may come up and show up in many different ways. Maybe this video, but I can't stress enough. We are doing ourselves a disservice if we are locking ourselves in a place that doesn't feel right for us. Take some time for yourself and align with those aspects I mentioned, but also give yourself time to work through this. And for me, it took 10 years to work through this. That's why I am dedicated to help others find their way, because I know it also can be done a little bit faster. But that's my impatient part speaking. And speaking of patience, it can be easy to want things done now, wanting to get out of situations where we may feel uncomfortable in. However, there are many layers to this practice. There are many layers to this change and this one particular move that you might be wanting to construct in your life. It took me probably about 10 years after I quit my corporate job to confidently step away from my career path. When I left my corporate job, I was still contracting. I was still working as a consultant. I even started my own business with a partner, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy, and it kept going from bad to worse because I wasn't honoring myself, but I was lost. and I had no way of finding myself. So as I mentioned, there is no right or wrong way of this as long as you are working towards pointing yourself in the direction that you feel called towards. If you are in a position where you are unhappy or you feel misaligned or you're in a toxic situation, please know that there is always a way out. And we are doing ourselves a disservice if we are staying in situations that are making us sick, that are making us unwell. When we're misaligned, it can feel incredibly uncomfortable and it can feel incredibly consuming, as if we can't get out, as if there are no other options. This is the opportune time for the shadow work. What is preventing me from moving forward? What is preventing me from feeling confident to make a move or create change in my life? Sometimes we may second guess ourselves or even find ways to stay in situations that are not good for us, that do not feel in alignment with us. We may just give up and succumb to that particular relationship, even though on a very deep level, we do not feel good about it. This does fragment our being, not allowing us to connect with ourselves wholly and fully. It can cause depression. It can cause addictions. It can cause a lot of very unhealthy behaviors. And it also can become very familiar. I guarantee you, this is an inside job. And when you invest in yourself, you will find not only a way out, but a better path forward. And also, I should say, finding yourself in the process, who you are. Being in a bad work environment or maybe a difficult relationship is not a bad thing, because we then get to reflect on what doesn't work. And sometimes I have to say also, some of these relationships that show up in our life, some of these work situations that show up in our life are meant to be on our path. So we can be challenged, so we can look within, so we can make changes, so that we can heal. But we can put so much pressure on the negative. I hate my job. I'm not happy in this relationship. I don't feel good waking up in the morning. I dread walking into the office. These are opportune times for the inner work. These are opportune times for understanding what is happening beneath the surface that we need to address. So again, try not to be hard on yourself if this is resonating with you, if this is where you are. This is an exercise of simple self-observation. And as always, challenges give opportunities. Every challenge does. The worst challenge in our lives gives us a moment for enlightenment, gives us a time to create great change in our lives. We learn from our depths. We learn from the difficult times. They make us grow. They make us understand ourselves more. They make us look at life differently. The gifts from these moments are endless and invaluable. So if this video is for you, take some time and know that I'm speaking from the future. Every move we make in alignment with what feels right for us is a step in a direction that is honoring our authentic self, our true self. And it will create and cultivate a very meaningful life.